Week 1, Day 2, the quality that we're dealing with today is purpose-driven, and then we'll be dealing with it all week. And we talked about yesterday, the purpose-driven is in contrast to being time-oriented. And if you get up at 6 in the morning or whatever time you get up and you sit down 3 goals that you're going to get done today, then you become a purpose-driven individual. The great thing about being a purpose-driven individual is you have very high morale. Morale is simply based on your belief of whether or not you accomplish something. The one profession that has the lowest morale of anyone is the teaching profession, because so many times teachers go home and don't feel like they accomplished anything that day. And it's odd to me that the profession with the highest morale are farmers, because whether or not they make any money or whether or not the wind blows it away or whatever, they see the crop come up, so they see the fruit of their labor. So becoming purpose-driven gives you high morale, which obviously increases your self-image, improves it, and makes it better. So you sit down every day and you write down 3 things that you're going to get done. Now today's Tuesday, so you go to Tuesday on page 15 and you write a plus or a minus. Did I do the 3 things I said I was going to do? And I'm not talking about find the cure for coronavirus. I'm talking about make the bed. Did you get up and make the bed? Did you clean your room? Did you mow the yard? Did you weed eat? Just 3 things that you need to get done during the day. Today we're going to talk about the first story in Purpose Driven, and it's called Processionary Caterpillars. And it's very simple. It was an unusual experiment, and it was done by John Henry Fabre, who was a French naturalist. And what he did was he took the processionary caterpillar, and it gets its name because it follows one right behind another, and he put enough of them in that it made a circle. So you have a circle of processionary caterpillars going around and around and around, following one another. And in the middle of this circle, he put pine needles, which the processionary caterpillar loved to eat. But the life of a processionary caterpillar is simply to eat and recreate. So that's half of their life, is to eat something. So here goes these processionary caterpillars, and they go round and round and round, 7 days, 24 hours a day. They died of starvation and fatigue. Now that's a negative, tragic way to end the story, but think about it. Did they try hard? Yes. Did they hustle? Did they do everything on? Yeah. Well, what did they not have? They had no purpose. They had no drive. If you're going to practice in an athletic event, football, basketball, track, tennis, anything that you're going to do, and you have no purpose, that means all you're doing is spending time. And to think that you're going to get better because you put in 2 hours a day, you don't get any better by practicing. You only get better by practicing if you have a purpose to go out and do it. You don't get any better in class by going to class. You're not any smarter by going to school unless you have a purpose for going to school. The first, it says, do not confuse activity with accomplishment. And that's essentially what it's talking about. Just because you do something and you don't have a purpose for it, you're not going to accomplish anything. Here's the first question. Write or tell about a day in the life of a human processionary caterpillar. Will Rogers, the famous humorist from Oklahoma, Claremore, Oklahoma, said, a lot of people die and then 20 years later they bury them. Well, what he meant was you get into such a rut in your life that you get up every day, you go to second period because it's right after first period. And you go to third period because it's right after second period. You're no different than a processionary caterpillar. You're just going round and round and round. What if you sat down and you wrote down and you said, okay, I've got second period English today, and I'm going to get this done in second period English. I'm going to get this done in third period math. I'm going to get this done. Now you have become a purpose-driven person. You're not confusing activity with accomplishment. To go to an English class for 1 full year doesn't guarantee you anything unless you sit down and you write a purpose for that each day. It's the same thing with practicing football. If you go out to practice football and you've got a very specific purpose that you're going to get done that day. In other words, if you go out there and you say, the one thing I'm going to get done today is I'm going to work on whatever it might be, throwing the ball, catching the ball, whatever it is. The guys that I coached in high school and college that went on and played in the NFL were purpose-driven athletes. Teddy Banker may have been the best offensive lineman I ever coached when I was coaching in Southeast Missouri. And Teddy Banker would write down exactly what he wanted to get done that day. And a lot of times at the end of practice, he would say, Coach, how about staying out here with me for an extra 30 minutes? I need to work on my kickback, on that pass rush. Let me work on this. He had a purpose for doing what he did. He didn't just happen to end up as a professional football player. He worked at it, had a purpose. Question number two, how do your weekly goals help you keep from becoming a processionary caterpillar? Well, it's a simple answer. They help you become a purpose-driven person instead of just going around and around and around in circles. What did you do yesterday? Nothing. Well, if you didn't do anything, then you are a processionary caterpillar. You're just going around and around and around. You're confusing activity with accomplishment. Helen Keller was asked one time, what's worse than being blind? Helen Keller was blind and could not speak and was deaf. And her answer was having no vision. She was blind. She didn't have vision. Yes, she did. In her mind, she knew exactly what she was going to do. She had a vision. She knew where she was going. She knew how she was going to get there. She knew when she was going to get there. She knew everything that she was going to do. Emmitt Smith gained 15,000 yards. He gained more yards than anybody that ever played professional football. And he wrote at his goal when he graduated from college before he got drafted that his goal was to run for more yards than anybody that had ever played football. Writing the goal down is 50% of accomplishing it because of the reticular activating sensors in your brain that make it important, and you keep going until you get there. You become purpose-driven. Now, if you didn't write those 3 goals down yesterday, if you didn't get them done, you give yourself a minus on that purpose-driven day on Tuesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We'll do another story tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow.